Episode 1 introduces the Heavy Armor Swordsman, a class built for tanking, holding the front line, absorbing damage and shielding allies. But its fatal flaw is its pitifully low damage and lack of mobility, making leveling solo a complete nightmare. As a result, this class is scorned by the world, and anyone branded with this cursed class is viewed as saddled with a debuff from the start. But Elma sees the Heavy Armor Swordsman in a completely different. The more he grows, feels that the knowledge and skills in this world are intimately familiar, as if he had known them before. Within hazy memories, Elma keeps seeing herself alone and standing against enemies of the highest rank, from monsters to mages and sword saints alike. No matter how brutal the battle, the shield in her grip, she stands unyielding, like an unbreakable wall. Just as the ceremony began, Elma's past life memories suddenly came flooding back. He realized this world was Magic World, the VR game he had played in his past life. But the biggest shock? The system had given him the Heavy Armor Sword Saint class, a class Elma knew all too well. It's incredibly powerful in-game, yet Elma's father flew into a rage because this class is seen as trash by society. Elma tried to explain the HP and superior defense stats, but he wouldn't listen. He even slapped his son across the face, seeing this class as a disgrace to the family. Elma finally realized this world only values raw strength, measured by visible attack power, utterly blind to the true worth of classes that take time to develop. Amid the tension, strung taut as a bowstring, Malice, Elma's childhood friend, appeared from the branch family. Edawan appeared out of nowhere. Though years had passed since they parted, due to their standing, she still went ahead with the right, ignoring the whispers around her. And just as expected, Malice was granted the Holy Sword, a class built for offense. Powerful and revered, she even taunts Elma, implying she drained all of her eldest brother's talent. Elma, meanwhile, can only worry, because Malice's achievement will surely stoke the anger of his father even more. Unlike Elma, the Edawan family head was overjoyed as if he'd found gold upon learning Malice got. As a sword saint, he instantly took in her as his adopted daughter and bequeathed the family's inheritance. Emboldened, Malice quickly belittled Elma, believing he was never fit to carry on the family name. The shift of succession was instantaneous, laying bare the rules of this world. This world is cruel. Only those with overwhelming attack power earn respect and glory, but the weaker looked down upon and cast aside without a second thought. The tragedy hits its peak when Elma's father disowns his own son, branding the Heavy Armor Swordsman a stain on the family, and immediately casts him out. He's cast out of the estate. Elma insists on the class's potential, but no one believes him. Even his father threatens to kill him if he ever dares to use that name again. That rainy midnight, Elma is seen off by the old butler. He slips him a bit of savings. Meanwhile, on the balcony, Malice, watching with a smirk, he closes the book on Elma's misfortune and ushers in his new journey. From here, the path of the Heavy Armor Swordsman, Elma officially begins. Cast out by his clan, he is loaded onto a carriage headed to a strange house, beginning a solitary life, and stripped of his rank. Outside, out in the world, Elma sees just how ruthless this world can be. A party of adventurers is recruiting, but only wants fast, high damage classes, and heavy, slow classes, like the Heavy Armor Sword Master, are practically rejected from the start. Even though his family cast him out, and society looks down on him, Elma remains utterly confident, knowing the secret no one else knows. Heavy Armor Swordsman is secretly the strongest class. Settling into his new life, Elma opens his status screen to confirm that the game's mechanics remain identical to Magic World. With his first 5 skill points, you didn't invest in sword skills or basic defense, but went Allen on the oath path. Heavy Armor, a class everyone dismisses as useless. Result: the skill hit level 5, unlocking counterattack bulwark and massively boosting defense. This is the first step toward the Heavy Armor build. Elma, the fearsome sword master. After gearing up quickly, Elma sets out to test his strength in battle. His first opponent is a low-level monster. He activates a counter stance, converting his defense stat into damage. On a successful block, the outcome was devastating. The monster fell in one single hit. The reward? Only a low-tier magic stone, but it marked the first proof that Elma's Heavy Armor Swordsman build could truly work in the real world. Right after the fight, Elma heard someone cry for help, chased by an entire horde of monsters. Panicking, he urges him to run, believing a low-level Heavy Armor Swordsman can never stand against the horde. But Elma knows his build. His counterattacks form a bulwark that peaks only when defense is high enough to negate the enemy's attacks. And against these monsters of such low levels, it's well within your capabilities. Elma stands like a city wall, blocking every strike, then counter-attacking to clear the entire monster horde. The man he saved stood there frozen, unable to believe a class deemed trash could be this powerful. When asked his identity, Elma almost blurted out the Edelwyn name, but his father's warning, that resentment brought him to a halt. No longer leaning on his bloodline or his past standing, Elma boldly carved out his new identity. Not an Edawan heir, but simply Elma. A heavy armor swordsman. Episode 2. After wiping out the Lana Horde, Elma gains a massive express boost from level 2 straight up to level 8 and also unlocking the title, the immovable one, HP, attack, and defense all sword. Looking at the familiar status screen, Elma is more convinced than ever this world is basically magic world. For a veteran gamer like him, it feels just like picking up an old controller. Glance at the UI, and you know right away which button to hit to wreck everything. After that close save, Ares explains why I risked my life in the forest to become a famous adventurer. You had to grind to at least level 3. Too impatient to prove themselves, they skipped partying up and nearly became prey for the pack. Lana's pack. When Elma met Ares immediately invited them to team up. He promised to recruit more members even though the heavy armor knight is often looked down on, but Elma turned it down flatly. For Ares, having no party makes leveling nearly impossible. But Elma thinks like a hardcore player. Solo means no shared express, no loot sharing, and the title or rare skills come easily into your grasp. Plus, Elma won't waste time explaining her build to those already biased against this class. After the blow of being abandoned by her clan, she just wants to get strong fast, alone. No need to carry anyone else. In short, Elma went solo. RNK. Anyone who asks to team up. He tried to refuse, but the ghost of his past still clung to Elma as visions of his father and malice kept flooding his mind, reminding him he still had a long road to awaken his true power. Meanwhile, Ares was still on his tail, like a leech, nagging Elma to don't waste time grinding these low-level trash. Aim higher. Elma didn't bother to reply and let him follow. She just let him tag along. Then real danger appeared. Suddenly, a level 16 Arya Deep pounced from a tree, attacking both with fire. Even though he's only level 8, Elma stays calm and checks the monster's stats. Thanks to his past life knowledge, he instantly identifies all the skills that are dangerous: stealth, light step, poison control, and fire claw. One hit is all it takes, and you're done for. For regular players, this red boss is a run-on sight. For most, but to Elma, it's no different than reading a monster's wiki that I had memorized in a past life. The issue is, the counter wall only activates when Elma's defense. It needs to be high enough, at least around double the enemy's attack power. Given the current level gap, you still don't meet the prerequisites to unlock this skill. Seeing the danger, Ares drew his sword, ready to act as bait, willing to sacrifice himself so Elma could escape. But Elma quickly stopped him. With a veteran gamer's experience, Elma didn't panic, but opened the skill panel, searching for a way to turn the tables. Elma had 7 skill points. From the last level up, Elma went Alan again, on the Oath of Heavy Armor. This time, Elma unlocked a weapon skill that deals no damage, high damage, but it can cut the target's attack by 20% per minute for 1 minute. This is exactly the missing piece. Elma needs to turn the tide. Without a moment's hesitation, they charged straight at the spider, declaring, with fiery resolve, only by taking risks, massive gains. Arya Deep maxed out. Despite the poison, Elma raises her shield to block, then counter with a parry that instantly cuts the boss's attack by 20% on the spot. Fire Flame Claw then slams the ground, kicking up a thick cloud of dust, so thick that Ares thought Elma was down for good, but Elma still stood strong. With high defense and heavy armor, Elma keeps calculating. Arya Deep's mana reserves. Poison Blast costs 7 mana. Flame Claw costs 5 mana. As the boss's HP drops, he charges his weapon a second time, but it's still not enough to trigger the counter wall. Right then, the immovable title kicked in. Standing still boosts Elma's defense by 10%. On one hand, the boss gets damage reduction, while Elma just keeps getting tankier. Finally, all requirements are met. The counter wall, it activated, and Elma knew the fight was decided. Arya Deep got crushed, granting a massive express that shot Elma from level 8 all the way to 12, plus 4 skill points. Elma was about to go Alan on the Oath of Heavy Armor, but the system that flash pushed him to level 15, but he couldn't level up more. On top of that, he unlocked a new active skill called Parry, a key defensive skill that veteran Magic World players like Elma knows all too well. Meanwhile, Ares got poisoned and had to head back to the city with Elma before they parted ways. The next morning, Elma headed to the Adventurers Guild in Rondom to officially register. The moment he stepped in, he was mobbed by a crowd who taunted him relentlessly for being a heavy armor knight, and was instantly ranked at Frank, the lowest from S down to F. Elma immediately grabbed from his magic pouch. He pulled out Arya Deep's massive magic stone, and Frank, rookie of all people, brought back high-grade loot, throwing the entire hall into chaos. Elma didn't bother to explain, and simply asked coolly, "What's the rank up quest?" No drama, no defending himself against a world that looks down on him. He doesn't need to care what others say. The rank up mission leads Elma to a dark cemetery at night, where he runs into a veteran adventurer, bear-sized, with a beard and mustache, bushy, and full of prejudice. He couldn't believe a newbie at level 12 could take down Arya Deep. He cursed loudly, calling Elma a cheat, then wound up a punch to teach him a lesson. But as the punch came in, Elma casually brushed it aside, using Gatchu to deflect it. With almost no effort at all, The towering figure froze, his eyes bulging in disbelief. Episode 3, wanna level up fast? You gotta join a party quest. It's Elma's first time teaming up with other adventurers, yet as a knight in heavy armor, he got sneered at by the whole team. Everyone figured he just showed up to leech XP, not to help. What's in it for him this time? The mission is to take out a wolf pack at level 30 with their leader, a level 40 master, hired as an escort. To him, soloing the boss is a piece of cake. But these low-level rookies, a dozen rookies like Elma, just handle the cleanup. Sweep the low-tier mobs, that's all they're good for. Honestly, we all came here just to grind XP. No one wants to babysit a deadweight freeloader. Elma didn't bother to argue. She just stayed quiet, silently minded her own, questioned the leader, whether he really needed her help after all. Seeing this, the other recruits also let their guard down, but just as the leader was about to make his move, a mage from the team suddenly panicked, sensing danger, rushed over and shouted, "These are just common wolves, so there's no need to go all out," which made the leader a bit overconfident and careless. Right then, the whole pack appeared at once, dozens of them, so many that the whole team panicked and scattered. Especially that mage was now so terrified, he nearly lost control. As the wolf pack charged in, the leader was in no state to think of anyone else, and immediately rushed to the front line to protect himself, forcing the mage to hastily cling close to him for safety. Feeling safe, the pack converged on the leader and sorcerer, leaving the remaining recruits abandoned behind. To the wolves, they were nothing more than easy prey. Yet amidst the chaos, in that turmoil, Elma stood unshaken, like a rock, totally unshaken. Seeing this battle was far larger than usual, they chose to step up and guide, with a few simple tactics, rallying the other recruits to form a defensive line to support one another, so they wouldn't be overwhelmed. Elma took on the role, takes the brunt of the assault, on the front line, as befits a knight in heavy armor, though on the defensive at first, against the overwhelming odds. But the longer Elma fought, the more their rhythm returned, countering relentlessly, and drove the wolves. One by one, they fell, thanks to seamless teamwork with the new recruits. The low-level monsters around them were swiftly taken down, leaving only the alpha boss alone now, facing the level 40 leader, though the boss is just level 30, far below the leader's level. But the fight remained deadlocked, for the boss still had minions still left standing, keeping the leader from giving it his all. Mid-battle, the boss suddenly drained blood from its minions to heal itself, an ability rarely seen, stunned the entire party. Then it started evolving, shifting into a far more terrifying shape, power soaring past level 40 in the blink of an eye. Episode 4, the fight rages on, as the chieftain risks it all to solo the boss of the horde, but the greenhorns by his side are just too weak. Even the veteran troops can't finish them off easily. The chieftain is overwhelmed from every side, unable to land. If the boss goes down, worse, it keeps draining blood from nearby mercenaries around it to heal itself. In a flash, it's full HP again, and keeps evolving, getting stronger. Its power spiked 40, and the gap between it and the leader kept widening more and more. Elma saw what was happening, and couldn't help fuming at these green recruits, who just stood there, watching, too scared to lift a finger, or even move, not even when the boss had just evolved. Just because he took a few poison hits, the leader got sent flying by the boss, a nasty blow that left him flat and paralyzed. From the paralysis effect, the boss seized the moment to charge in for a final blow. Elma lunged forward at once, and took the hit instead, taking the full brunt of this monster's attacks, as teammates scramble to drag the leader out of harm's way, meanwhile using healing skills and curing poisons to keep him alive. Sadly, their recovery abilities were far too weak, barely enough to buy time. They couldn't fully counter the paralysis. Elma realized that this boss's paralysis would only last for a limited duration. They just needed to survive that tough phase, and their leader would recover in time. But what struck Elma, surprisingly, the real game world turned out to be quite different from reality. Meanwhile, a few rookie adventurers couldn't handle the pressure, panicked and fled. That, in fact, was just what Elma wanted. Because the weaklings staying would only add to the burden, a burden on the whole team. But that's just talk. The level gap between you and the boss is still far too vast, especially since Elma has only reached level 16 while that monster has already reached level 40. Elma decides to lure the boss away from the other's reach. Glancing at the leader, she quickly backed into the surrounding tombstones. But the moment Elma turned, the boss gave chase and swung a hook from behind, catching Elma off guard. Elma felt a wave of dizziness spread through her body. No matter how thick the shield, it can't block all damage. Pain begins to surge if you keep standing there like a target. For this monster, sooner or later, you'll fall. Elma knows she must strike back rather than still stuck on the defensive. Luckily, the 5 skill points saved from the last level up were still available. Elma poured everything into one true offensive skill, striking a precise sword strike aimed at the boss's weak spot. Taking advantage of the monster's momentary lapse in guard, she closed in and drove a sword straight into the enemy's face. The attack landed, staggering the boss, but not enough to finish it off. Elma knew this boss had a fearsome healing factor, but to truly destroy it, it needs more time. But that isn't a big deal. He keeps pushing and provoking until the boss loses it, slamming the ground in a blind rage. Suddenly, Elma smirks confidently, because right now, the 2-second window, the wait is over, and the leader has fully recovered from the earlier paralysis and is now back on the battlefield at full strength. The boss barely had time to take one more hit before going down for good. Even though landed the killing blow, Elma still gained a massive chunk of XP, shooting up 7 levels. The leader looked at Elma with a gaze filled with unease, bowed his head and apologized for being overconfident and underestimating a knight in heavy armor. One tiny slip cost the whole team dearly. He decided to hand over all the loot to Elma as thanks, including a shield of top quality dropped from the rare level 47 monster. When asked if Elma truly wanted the precious treasure, without a moment's hesitation, Elma nodded in instant agreement. The shield grants a bonus defense of about 25 points, worth up to 300 gold coins, plus a special effect. Each time you block an attack successfully, you gain 8 counter damage points. Elma couldn't hide their thrill, knowing this was the perfect gear to pair with the counter wall. The counter wall boosting their defense against every monster blow. After that stellar performance, the leader couldn't hide their admiration, their respect. For Elma, I confirm, you'll surely be promoted to E rank. Meanwhile, those who once mocked and looked down on Elma now just hang their heads in shame, not daring to say a word, to demand a share of the promotion rewards, because they're the very ones, the one who ran off from the very start of the fiercest fight. The adventurers around them no longer dared to sneer, for the heavy armor knight, once written off as useless, single-handedly took down a whole mutant monster. That terrifying, thanks to the leader, who stepped up to protect them. Even the usual critics had to fall silent. They backed off. Elma mused, with this rare gear, combined with a sacred oath, now upgraded, a sacred knight once written off, now it's fully possible to become an impregnable defensive fortress, capable of shattering all old stereotypes about this class, becoming a war machine with true all-around combat prowess. Episode 5 begins in the city of Rondom, as Elmar ponders his main goal right now, the Frenzied Fangs skill book. He reveals that, when combined with Heavy Armor Oath, this skill will help the Heavy Knight build reach completion, turning a purely defensive tank into a true humanoid weep. A new goal is set, paving the way for his quest to obtain an overpowered skill. Stopping by the item shop to buy recovery potions, Elmar asks about the skill book, only to get a shock. This item is completely banned from sale. This completely contradicted the game knowledge he once possessed, showing that noble power had an even deeper reach in the real world. Elmar immediately suspected that the Svan clan, his former family, was secretly monopolizing the entire supply of skill books in the city. Out of fondness for Elmar, the shop owner tipped him off about a secret channel selling Hajia items, gear looted from the bodies of adventurers who perished in the Dun Jian. Elmar quickly realized the dark side of this society. Nobles buy up skill books at cheap prices and hoard them, monopolizing the market and exploiting adventurers' labor. This made him wonder, if he hadn't remembered his past life, would he, too, have become a selfish noble just like them? Following the directions, Elmar headed to the slums, so run down that even during his time as a noble, he didn't even know it existed. Inside a black market shop, he met an old witch, who was mysterious and wore a monocle. The moment she saw Elmar, she looked at him with disdain, and coldly told him that this place is no place for amateurs, instantly making the skill book deal incredibly tense. Elmar picked up a copy of Basic Archery and was shocked to find that the price of the book had been ridiculously inflated. A book that should only be around 500,000 gold, as he recalled, had now jumped to 2 million. The old woman even charged up to 3 million gold. She also warned that it was contraband, and every transaction meant risking one's life, showing that the skill book market was heavily manipulated. But the real shock came when Elmar discovered Frenzied Fangs, tucked in the corner of the shelf with its purple cover and a red eye, tightly chained as if it were sealing a monster. Thinking he had found his dream target, before Elmar could even celebrate, the old woman quoted a price of 50 million gold. Hearing that, he froze, and reluctantly put the book down. Worse still, 5 others had wanted to buy it, but in the end, they all had to give up, because the price was too steep. Rondom looked magnified, sent under the golden sun, but to Elmar, no matter how beautiful the city was, it could soften the blow of the 50 million gold price tag he'd just been hit with. From this point on, his journey would no longer be ply grinding, dungeons and hunting monsters, but officially becomes a race to earn enough gold to afford Frenzied Fangs, the ultimate piece to turn the heavy knight into a human weapon. Leaving Hajia's shop, Elmar was still frozen by the sticker shock. The sum of 55 million gold kept spinning in his head. equivalent to at least 60 boss raids, just to make that much. Only now did he truly feel the sheer madness of the economy. In the high-level, adventurer world, if you want to build an endgame heavy knight, you need to be rich first. Option 1. Grind dungeons. For rare drops to strike it rich. But as soon as he runs into shadow monsters, he runs for his life, since a heavy knight's current damage is trash. Option 2. Farming low-level mobs outside the city is ruled out, since it would take forever to make enough gold, which leaves option 3. Learning an attack skill to farm faster, which Elmar also ruled out immediately, since skill points are worth their weight in gold. He couldn't afford to waste even a single point, since it would all be pointless once he gets frenzied fangs. After weighing his options, Elmar decided the only way was to form a party to make money faster, rather than grinding solo. But just as he was racking his brain, a loud argument ahead suddenly caught his ear, instantly drawing his attention. Right in front of Elmar, Luz was being ruthlessly exploited, crying and begging for a share of the loot. Starting May 1st, its value dropped to just 100,000 gold, but the red-haired swordsman only threw a few coins onto the ground and called her useless trash because she had no attack skills. Worse yet, Luz revealed that he himself had forced her to allocate her skill points to his liking, causing her skill tree to be built completely wrong and rendering it useless. Only now did Elmar truly understand the real tragedy behind Luz's glory. Observing from the sidelines, Elmar immediately switched to veteran gamer mode and spotted the problem. This is the classic mistake of magic warp teammates with bad skill builds, effectively ruining their own potential. But what shocked Elmar even more was Luz's clown gear. He immediately realized the clown class wasn't as useless as it looked, but was actually a sign of a skill tree that was insanely broken, ranking among the strongest in the game. Ironically, nobody knows this, not even Luz himself. Just as Luz reached down to pick up the silver coins thrown at him as a final insult, Elmar couldn't take it any longer. He charged in like a rocket. He was so worked up that everyone froze. Elmar grabbed Luz by the shoulders and yelled right at him, "Join my party." Klain and Liz were utterly stunned. As for Luz, he stood there frozen for a few seconds, not understanding what was going on. Episode 6 opens on a gloomy note, as Luz collapses in an alley by their own former party, consisting of Klain and Liz, who coldly cast them aside. Liz bluntly criticized their build for having completely wrong skills on a low level, claiming no other party would want to accept them. In the shadows, Moss silently witnessed it all and realized how harsh the skill point system in this world. But the boasting of Klain about the blood sword that piqued Elma's interest. Luz insisted that she was the one who helped him obtain that sword, thanks to her skill. But Klain immediately scoffed and dismissed it. Hearing this, Elma realized that Luz might have an extremely rare and powerful skill tree, but her old party had completely failed to see its true value, as Luz desperately begged to stay, even agreeing to a profit share. That was extremely unfavorable. Elma suddenly stepped in and recruited her on the spot. The clan immediately scoffed, believing Luz was too weak to level up on her own. But Elma calmly replied, "That is not a problem." Then, Elma began pointing out the inconsistencies in the story about the clan's level 23 solo heavy knight, makes even Liz suspect that the blood sword might still hold hidden secrets. The clan planned for Luz to lead the party quietly, to protect their reputation, and even pretending to be generous by tossing a bag of gold onto the ground as a parting gift. But Elma immediately saw through this act, warning Luz not to get indebted to people like that. The funniest moment was when a passerby went to pick up the bag of gold, prompting the clan to immediately scrambling to the ground to snatch it back, personally turning their gift-giving into a hopelessly embarrassing blunder. The atmosphere shifts to a more relaxed vibe at the tavern, where Luz keeps thanking Elma for giving her a second chance, but she quickly jumps to conclusions, assuming Elma fell for her and rescued her because of it, even shyly claiming that she is not an easy girl. Elma can only scratch their head in frustration at this display of overconfidence. But right after that comedic moment, Elma suddenly turns serious and asks Luz directly about the good fortune skill branch that she possesses. Luz is stunned, wondering how Elma could know so much. This is a key turning point, revealing that Luz possesses an extraordinary power that even she hasn't realized yet. Outside of town, Elma reveals some lore that is deeply intriguing about the origin of the dungeons. It turns out they are the nightmares of the supreme god Anzithos, who went mad and sealed himself with a curse. Those nightmares spilled into the real world, creating countless grotesque monsters. This major lore drop reveals that dungeons are no longer just places for level grinding or farming loot, but the remnants of a massive mythological secret standing at the dungeon entrance of the Angel's Toy Box. With a recommended level of 50, Luz is shaking like a leaf when looking at her stats. A level 13 jester with strength that is abysmal, but Elma coolly reassures her. Even analyzing Luz's dice thrust skill to deal massive damage, she must roll a A6, meaning she has to leave almost everything up to luck. Elma is certain that keeping Luz with her is far better than letting others have her. Elma continues to surprise Luz by giving her the chert, a dagger valued at 550,000 gold with incredible armor-piercing capabilities. Luz was both shocked and touched. by such a generous investment, but Elma calmly assigned the roles. I will draw all the enemies and Luz just needs to seize the opportunity to deliver a finishing blow. Stepping into the lower level, they ended up in a dungeon that looked like a giant toy box, but super creepy. A level 20 patchwork bear appeared. It looked cute, but its power was no joke. Luz instantly panicked, while Elma kept her cool, telling her to back up. She activates Shadow Stomp, pinning the bear's shadow straight to the ground, freezing it in place, with Elma keeping it pinned. Luz immediately rushes in to spam STA. BBA. The patchwork bear tries to counterattack with a powerful swipe at Elma, but it doesn't even phase her, showcasing the true tankiness of a heavy armored knight. Elma calmly remarked that it had just made a fatal mistake by neglecting its defense. Immediately after, Luz circled behind it, repeatedly thrusting the Ironstone Piercer into its weak point to finish off the monster, as it roared, before dissolving into black smoke. But the surprises didn't stop there. Luz went from level 13 straight to level 20, after just one battle, leaving her frozen in disbelief. On top of that, the patchwork bear even dropped 2 rare bear shields, with an almost absurd drop rate for a low-level monster. Elma immediately confirmed that Luz's luck was truly insane, while Luz got cocky, excitedly declared that hiring her was the best decision ever. But just as they rejoiced over the loot, Elma immediately switched to serious mode, stared deep into the darkness, and declared that the patchwork bear was just a warm-up. The real target of this run is the Nuvoric runner, the golden frog, a monster that's extremely rare. And just then, a giant frog, made of solid gold with diamond eyes emerging from the darkness, signaling that an epic treasure hunt is about to begin.